Hello, I'm Karena.
And I'm Jamie.
Welcome to As Told by ADHD. This podcast is a brainchild of two best friends with ADHD who share a passion for learning and a knack for finding the most fascinating tidbits of knowledge. Each week, we embark on a wild and hilarious journey of discovery as we dive headfirst into topics that pique our curiosity. From dark folklore to bizarre statistics, cultural ceremonies to famous dead people, we're here to entertain, educate, and tickle your funny bone.
This week on As Told by ADHD, we're talking about weird laws and why they exist.
And they're weird.
And they're weird.
They're really weird.
There are some that I was like, that's crazy. But there also were a lot of myths I ran into where like it's like urban legend that it's a law. Like, I think I was telling Karena about this one. There was a law in Alabama, that was not really a law. It was a myth. It was illegal to have a donkey sleep in a bathtub because one donkey floated away in a flood. It was crazy. It wasn't a real law. It was never a real law. So I didn't do that one.
And then also, when you go further back in time, a lot of it is a just shamed upon thing. So for this town or for this little area, it might be not a law, but it's just you just don't do that here.
Yeah. There was a lot of superstitious stuff too. There was another one I saw, you can't whistle underwater, but that wasn't a real law, but it was weird.
It's weird.
So that's the vibe we're going for.
Yeah. Just weird.
Just weird.
Yeah.
So let's do a dice roll.
Dice roll. Let's go. Odds.
That's a 2.
You're going first. Also, it's going to be almost like a Spitfire thing. So she's going to do some, I'm going to do some, blah, 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 blah. So,
are you ready for my first one?
I'm ready.
It is illegal to be drunk while in charge of cattle in the United Kingdom.
All they do is eat grass. What's the big deal?
I'm going to give you the backstory, and then I'm also going to tell you the full law. It's also still in effect to this day. And I agree that it should be.
Oh, interesting. Okay. Continue, please.
Section 12 of the Licensing Act of 1872. Every person who is drunk while in charge on the highway or in any public space of any carriage, horse, cattle, steam engine, or who is drunk when in possession of any loaded firearms.
Well, that would make sense. It's drunk driving.
Yeah, yeah. And I was like, okay, but who's riding cows? Well, I didn't find any direct story of why this was enacted, but I can imagine this probably happened a lot. It probably happened to the extent where everybody was like, everybody's drinking, everybody's driving their horses and carriages, everybody's herding cattle while they're drunk, and we have stampedes happening, we have people crashing their carriages, we have people just shooting firearms while drunk. We need to do something about this. So that's probably what happened.
People knew how to party back then, I hear.
Well, no, they probably all were depressed.
True.
They were probably all depressed. But yeah, so I can just imagine there was this maybe these two friends, they're drinking, having fun, but they got to get their cattle herded. They got to get their cattle across town. Why? Business? I don't know. I don't know how things worked in the 1800s.
They forgot to put the cows in that pasture.
Yeah.
Obviously.
So they had to take them to that pasture.
That one, yeah.
And it was across town, they had to get them there. But they were so fucking drunk. They were so drunk. And they spooked the cows and they ran through the town. Timmy got crushed. Julia fell from a building because she was so distraught that Timmy got ran over. I don't know. So that's what I think happened. That's my story and my imagination. Okay.
Timmy
This just happened. Instead of staying with the body, she just goes up to a building and just...
No, she was on the second story, watched her son get smushed, and she was like, Debbie!
Oh,
I'm sorry, that was morbid. Just forget I said that.
no, we're keeping
Anyway.
it in. We're keeping it in. It's weird stuff, okay?
Yeah. But anyway, silliness aside, the reason why the law was enacted was public safety, which is very fair. I think that public safety, like, you should be aware of your surroundings if you're drunk, or you should have a safe space to be drunk, you know?
Yeah.
So, especially the firearm thing. Like, I hate that people were brandishing firearms while drunk, but I know it happened, especially, like, back then. And I think that it's very good that it's still enacted to this day.
Yeah. Especially because if you can't work quick to, like, release, like, cattle dogs, if you don't have them with you for some reason, or, like, you know, have those precautions, like, you can die, first of all. Like, imagine, like, cattle, yes, but, like, livestock, like pigs. What if you, like, fell in the pig pen?
Pigs
You
eat
would
anything.
not wake up.
Pigs eat
You
anything.
will not wake up from your drunken slumber, can tell you that much.
I don't know if they would eat anything that is, like, alive, unless it's, like, a boar.
I don't know. I'm not sure. I have a
I've
crazy one, though, that can tell you all about it.
Please do. Please tell me.
So mine, also, my first one also involves animals heavily. In medieval Europe, around the 13th to 16th century France, animals could be arrested, tried, and executed.
Please tell me there's a story that you're going to tell me.
There is a story. The story is so morbid, but the ending of what I'm going to say kind of lightens it up a little bit. But yes, pigs, rats, horses, cows,
Rats?
all put on trial. Yes, rats. It gets
That's
worse.
so
No,
funny.
it gets
That's so funny.
worse. Rats were put on trial for crop destruction and murder.
I just imagine a little rat in tiny handcuffs.
Bro, just wait. Bro, just wait. Just wait. It's morbid, but it's also just like, what the hell? So they had full-on court battles. Animals, the defendants, would appear before both the church and non-church courts. There would be
Okay, quick question.
jurors. Yes.
Did the rats have lawyers?
Yes.
This is my favorite story ever.
They were allowed to have counsel.
How do they determine if the rat wants counsel? Or is it just automatically given to them?
It's automatically given to them. It's automatically assigned. It's like, if you do not have an attorney, one will be appointed to you in the court of law.
So good.
And literal farm animals and rats would be in the courtroom while this is happening.
Okay. So we have rats for destruction of crops, right? So what about the pigs? What did pigs do?
Murdered. They were
Pigs
just
murdered?
full-on murderers.
Who are
Yes.
they murdering?
They were the number one animal to be tried for murder.
Okay,
Insanity.
I take back what I said. I think pigs might murder you. I'm sorry.
That's why I was just like, An example is a famous case in 1386 France where a pig had eaten the face of a child named Jonette Le Macon. It was a 3-month-old baby.
What was wrong with the pig? I've never seen a pig eat a face.
Well, it said that the pig ate the face of the baby while the baby was in the crib. But if you think,
How did it get to the crib?
Exactly. But 13th century, farmland, it was not uncommon to leave like doors open and stuff like that to their house because of like wind flow and all of that kind of stuff. You know, people are in and out. I mean, I don't even know if the door could necessarily close on said house without a latch being down or something like that. I don't know. The mom can have been outside milking some goats while the 3-month-old baby was sleeping. We don't really know. But the pig came to the baby's crib, and I don't know how low.
It had to have been,
you
like,
know,
on the
it had
ground.
to have been like either that or like right like on a bassinet on a bench or something like that, like something, and apparently ate the face of a baby. The baby died of its injuries.
That's crazy.
Yeah. So as punishment, the pig was arrested.
Okay. Pig handcuffed.
Tortured. So they mutilated this pig.
How?
Because the pig mutilated the baby.
They ate
just
its face.
Cutting it up. No, they were just cutting it up. They're slicing it, like carving symbols and words into it and stuff like that. And then, after it was charged with murder, it was sentenced to be hung publicly.
Huh?
So they
That's
put
gotta
the
be difficult.
pig. They put the pig in human clothing.
What? They did not.
In human clothing.
Absolutely not.
They put
Why?
this pig in human clothing.
That's crazy.
And they hung this pig publicly for the murder of Jeanne Macron.
If you're the lawyer of this pig, what is your defense? What
The
do you
defense
say?
is the mother left the door open. The pig was
honestly,
hungry.
I'd
Missed
start
the
making stuff up.
feedings.
I would start making stuff up. I'd be like, you know, the mother actually killed the baby and then fed it to the pig. I would make stuff up.
Bro, I think that they're just so baffled by the fact that this is actual business. Like, your new client is the pig from the Macron farmland.
That's
Their
so
main
funny.
pig.
Okay, you're a lawyer. Do you want this trial or would you rather...
I don't think you have a choice. I think
No,
if you're
no,
trying
but
to
like-
make ends meet, you're just kind of like, oh, you'll
Fair.
pay me to be this pig's lawyer? Cool.
Okay, but like, say there's a couple of people who could like defend this pig. Are you volunteering? Or are you gonna be told you're the
This
one doing
pig
it?
has never hurt a fly.
I've never seen this pig do anything.
anything suspicious in my life. He's eaten grain from my hands. He's never bitten me nor nicked. So
He's innocent, I tell you.
innocent. No, he killed my baby. But I do feel bad
Jacques-
for that baby.
I do feel
I
bad for the baby. Jacques the pig is innocent.
Jacques.
Anyway.
Jacques le pig. Although pigs were the animal that was the most tried, there would be trials for crop damage towards other creatures like caterpillars,
Huh?
flies.
Are they hanging all these animals? How do you find a fly-sized noose? Why don't you... Why? This is a waste of tax dollars. They must have been so incredibly bored.
Flies, moles, worms, snails, and even leeches. They would try these creatures,
I keep crying.
and they would not be hung. They would not be hung. But they would
Okay.
they would be able to have churches and large grouped areas forced to go and help you with said problem. It's like, if you guys want this season's crops, then we must try these flies and caterpillars so that we
That's
may
pretty-
have a plentiful Thanksgiving? Like, I don't know.
I don't know. They didn't have
Like,
Thanksgiving.
But like, I don't know, but like the feast of the spring or something like that. And so they would have like large church groups or whatever come out into the pastures and try to rid all of these like creatures from this area. And that's
they
how they were
brought
like
so
able
many-
to like force people to do it. So they would try and they would be like, yes, this caterpillar is to blame, and then they would have all these people come out and
They
get rid of
brought
all
so
said
many
caterpillar.
little tiny pants to put on a caterpillar so they could be executed.
Publicly.
Public
As far as
execution
the
with
eye can
60 pairs of
see.
pants. It's a lot of caterpillars.
Oh my gosh. It's a
I
lot
know
of
caterpillars
caterpillars.
don't have 60 pairs of legs, but it's a lot of caterpillars, 60 pairs of pants. We got a couple of them that are
Yeah. They're just
That are
tearing,
to blame.
they're just tearing ish up. Yep.
so funny.
But anyways, yep, that's that. So
That was amazing. Thank you for that.
You're very
Fucking
welcome.
dressing the pig in human clothes.
There's pictures.
I'm
There's
so
literal
excited.
drawing depictions.
I'm so
Oh,
excited.
it's so good. That was my favorite one. I was like, it has to go first. This is so hilarious.
Okay, so my next one also has to do with animals
Okay.
in the United Kingdom. Because
What are these laws against animals? Anyways,
this
please
isn't
continue.
against animals. It's actually to try
Okay.
to protect animals.
Oh.
It's the Salmon Act of 1986 in the United Kingdom.
Salmon.
Handling salmon in suspicious circumstances is illegal. What does that mean?
What is
What's
suspicious?
suspicious?
Oh,
Well, let me tell you.
suspicious? Oh gosh.
Let me tell you. So, a person shall be guilty of an offense if, at the time, he believes or it would be reasonable for him to suspect that a relevant offense has at any time been committed in relation to any salmon.
What is happening to the salmon? That's what I need to know.
Well,
What are people
let me-
doing to salmon?
let me tell you, in the 1980s, there was a black market for salmon. It was considered a luxury good. So, whereas something like cod would be like a little over 2 pounds per 1 kilogram, you could charge anywhere between 5 and 11 pounds for 1 kilogram of salmon. So, like in today's money, you're paying about like 50 pounds for 1 kilogram of salmon.
Is it because they had to like travel far to get it, or like it was like a seasonal thing, or
So I didn't do too much research into
Right,
it,
of
but
course.
what it sounded like, the way they had laws around ownership of land of the water, kind of. Correct me if I'm wrong, if you live in the UK, but it sounded like certain groups of people owned the section of the water that the salmon were living in, and so people would go in and basically steal the salmon.
poachers? The lot of them.
Yeah, there was a lot of poachers who would go and steal the salmon and then sell it. It was crazy.
And salmon has such a distinct smell when you cook it as well. So like,
Mhm.
how do you even hide the fact that you're cooking
well,
salmon?
it wasn't the people cooking it that were poaching it. So they would have poachers, and there would be like a black market where you would go buy the fish.
Interesting.
So it was very lucrative.
Interesting. Mm.
So the suspiciousness of it is poaching the salmon, and the people who would buy it were usually like restaurants and stuff, but they wouldn't buy it from licensed sellers. They would buy it from the black market. So they made it illegal to not only poach and sell the salmon, but to knowingly buy poached salmon. And we're not talking about poached the cooking way, but we're talking about
We're not talking about boiling water and then quickly throwing the salmon in there.
no,
not
we're
what
not
we're talking about
poaching
at all.
it that way. We're talking about stealing it.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's still in effect to this day, but they did revise it a couple times. And the last time it was revised was in 2010, and they added several other fish. And before, it had prison time connected to it, but now they've taken away the prison time. Now it's like you just pay a fine.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Okay.
So there's that one. But like I read handling salmon suspiciously. I was like, what in the
What
world?
does that even mean?
I had to look more into it.
What do you
It wasn't
even
as
mean?
interesting as I thought it would be, but I was like, I didn't know there was a black market for salmon.
So another one that I had, it's from the US before it was the US. It also doesn't have a lot of documentation, but since it involves religion, I'm 100% sure that this was definitely a thing. Okay.
Question. Is this before it was the US when it was the colonies?
Yes.
Okay, so it wasn't like Native American.
No, it was colonial England, I guess you would say, or New England. So in the 1600s in Puritan New England,
Oof.
Puritan meaning a religious reform that took place primarily in the 15 to 1600s, and it aimed to purify the Church of England of anything that they believed was either too Catholic or unbiblical.
Okay.
So, anyways, what they believed was sinful enough to outlaw was long hair on men. The reasoning of their law is because God assigned gender roles, like I just said, and hair length was one of them. So women have long hair, men shouldn't have long hair, right? In their eyes. It was believed that men with long hair seemed vain and rebellious, and they would use the Christian Bible verse, Corinthians 11:14, that was quoted a lot, saying, "Does not even nature itself teach you that if a man have long hair, it is a shame unto him?" Which is just a great example of taking a verse out of context. It does get worse. In the late 1600s, the colonial leaders passed laws regulating appearance completely, including clothing, and having a man with long hair and being a man with long hair could be fined publicly. You can be reprimanded, denied by the church, and preachers who at this time held both legal and social weight could charge different fine amounts and have the final say of punishment because the law held such a religious meaning. They're like, how do you want to prosecute this guy, preacher man? Like, thank goodness church and state is separated, because all religion is so different that if each country, like, yes, each country has their own laws and some of them are rooted in their religion, but like, can you imagine like being in a region in Canada where they believe this and you do something on accident or something in the region next door and like game over, like life in prison because it's against like the religion?
Yeah.
That would be insane to me. That'd be absolutely insane
Yeah.
to me. But the real reason these laws were passed is not because of religion at all.
Let me guess. Control?
Control, and because the English Cavaliers sported long hair and they hated them. Those were their enemies, and they wanted to have something physical to show their one-up against them and the Catholic Church. So it was pretty much just a pride contest.
Well,
So say less.
ego.
We could just look. Let's
Okay.
go.
We're going to go back to France. Middle
France.
Ages.
Sorry.
France. Vive la France. It was illegal to wear striped clothing in France. However, this is another one of those laws. Well, it's kind of a myth, kind of not a myth. And let me tell you why. So, there were these laws in the Middle Ages of France called the Sumptuary laws. So, it's relating to personal expenditures, especially to prevent extravagance and luxury. It was designed to regulate commoners for what they could and couldn't wear, to like separate the classes. And in this time period in France, there were 3 different classes. So there was the commoners, which was the lowest tier. They were called the third estate. And it was anybody from like the lowest commoner, the poorest people, all the way to like the richest businessmen, bourgeoisie type. So those were like
Okay.
the commoners. The second tier was the second estate, and it was nobility. So kings, queens, dukes. I don't know a lot about royalty, as you can tell. Anyway, at the very top were the clergy of the Roman Catholic Church.
Okay.
So there were only really two ways that you could go up in class.
Okay.
One, if you were a commoner that wanted to become part of the church, you could join the
Mhm.
clergy. However, you would be the lowest rank and you wouldn't really have any power. The second way was if you were nobility, you would become clergy. So, like, say you're the uncle of the king, right? And you want to
Mhm.
join the clergy to, like,
Mhm.
have some type of power. You are
Mhm.
now, like, one of the top people. And they had, like, pretty similar power. They, like, struggled for power, nobility, and clergy.
Mhm.
But it seemed like in this time period, they had more sway over the people than the nobility did.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. So there's, like, kind of the backstory of, like, what's happening, right?
Right.
That's the context of the Sumptuary laws. And it was never explicitly written that you couldn't wear stripes. However, stripes are usually worn by sex workers, outcasts, criminals, lepers, and even, like, executioners, because, like, they were considered, like, tainted or almost evil because they were the ones murdering people, right?
Okay.
Even though it was like their job. Now I'm going to kind of read you the law that really kind of set off the sumptuary laws. These laws prohibited the wearing of fabrics of gold, silver, tinsel trimmings, embroidery, gold, silk beads, and other excesses. And this was a way for, like, the nobility to kind of lock their social class
Okay.
and protect the elites from losing power. And
Okay.
to gain control over, like, social control, you know?
Yeah.
Which is crazy. Because, like,
Cuckoo for Cuckabus. The lot of you.
there's a lot of them.
The lot of them.
The church kind of swayed public opinion about stripes. They would often reference the verse Deuteronomy 22:11. You shall not wear a garment woven of wool and linen. And no, this time period, I couldn't find any information about striped clothing having two different types of fabrics woven together. So most likely they were using confirmation bias of, like, oh, that's two different colors, stripes. That's what they meant in the Bible. It was confirmation bias for sure.
Interesting. That
Yeah.
when it speaks to you, I guess.
Yeah. It ended up becoming mandatory for, like, the tainted people to wear, or, like, the tainted evil sex workers, criminals, people to wear stripes to identify them in public. And you're like, well, if it was mandatory, how was it illegal? Let me tell you. There was a man in the 14th century. I couldn't find the documented dates, but this man was a cobbler, a shoemaker, for anybody who doesn't know what a cobbler is.
Mhm.
He was sentenced to death. And it is cited that he was sentenced to death because he was wearing stripes. But I feel like there's a lot of context we're missing. There was no concrete documentation about what he was on trial for. We just know he was wearing stripes. I think the most plausible thing for this story would probably be he did some, like, petty crime, or maybe even, like, because, like, it kind of was getting to the point where, like, commoners were kind of pushing back a little bit to authority. So it might have even been that.
Interesting.
He just happened to be wearing stripes, which I think didn't give him a fair trial. So I think that's, like, how it shifted and molded throughout time. I think that's how we got to it was illegal to wear stripes. I think he just didn't get a fair trial.
That sucks.
Right.
That sucks heavy.
But, positive note, something cool, when the French Revolution came about in the 18th century, stripes became a symbol of the resistance.
Positive fashion.
They all adopted stripes, and they were like,
Oh, okay. The sass was there. I like that.
well, I mean, that's a
She's
whole
fire.
nother story for a whole nother day. Anyway, So that was that law, which I think is crazy because, like, yes, it wasn't written into law itself, but just the law of, like, you can't wear certain clothes because you're poor. Like, that's crazy.
That's
And
wild.
then also because someone wore stripes, they didn't get a fair trial. In my that's my opinion. I don't know that for fact. I'm assuming that's what happened, but
That's wild. I like that. I like how it turned around. It's just like, oh yeah, I guess we're all criminals now, and we're gonna take you down.
we're all criminals now. I'll make a crime out of you.
I'll make a crime out of you.
I don't know. Today's a weird day for me. I'm feeling strange.
I'm feeling weird too. I guess we're just weird today.
Yeah.
But my next one is one that's actually kind of, I feel, is very well known, but I kind of want to talk about it anyways, just as a little reminder. But in medieval Japan in the 1600s, roughly, direct eye contact with a superior or nobility was a huge no-no, right? So no matter where you stand, though, in the social hierarchy, from everyday peasant to like the younger brother of the king, doesn't really matter. If you hold a stare or hold direct eye contact, it was considered aggressive and insulting.
That honestly kind of makes a lot of sense. Because
it does, but now it's just like, oh, when you're having a conversation with somebody, hold eye contact so that you know that they're understanding. It's just like back then, if you were spoken to, whether it was them coming in to get the king's bread, if you hold eye contact, like, here's the bread, I made it like this, you stare at them, it's just like death sentence.
But that also makes a lot of sense with like their culture in general, because they usually bow when they like. So like you're not making eye contact when you bow. If you did, that would be really weird. Like just be like. I would be creeped out if somebody bowed at me while they were staring at me. I'd be like,
I mean, I guess that's true. For like samurais, though, there's a code that's called Bushido, and it treated prolonged eye contact as a challenge. But like I saw that when I read that, I was like, okay, imagine a girl trying to flirt, right? She doesn't know this man is a samurai, and she's holding eye contact for too long. Like, is he just gonna?
Like, I want to fight you.
Is he gonna pull out his sword? Like, is that the end of her? You know, because they saw that. No, but they saw that as, you know, provoking a challenge. Right. You know, and assassins were a thing, and like all of that kind of stuff. I also don't know how you flirt.
I really don't know how you flirt, because I've never in my life have been like, like it's usually like, you know, like
oh, she has powerful brown eyes. Her eyes are very powerful. Those eyebrows are crazy though. But yeah, that was pretty much it. But like you could be beaten, obviously, or killed for holding eye contact because it's disrespectful for looking just a little too long.
Do you know how long it lasted?
It's still a thing, pretty much. It's seen as disrespectful.
But is it a law?
Like, you won't die. No, it's not law anymore. I don't know when, but it's just kind of like one of those things. And I have another one whose whose like social standing is still the same. And I'm actually kind of not mad at that one. But like, for this, it's just like if a foreigner goes to a country where this is like a social norm, we hold eye contact. Yeah. Like when we speak. So it's just kind of like, maybe that's why they just cuss us out afterwards. They're just like, stupid foreigners, you know?
Yeah. So, well, also, I feel like we're getting to a day and age where people are learning other people's cultures a lot faster due to like the internet and social media and stuff. So I think people are a lot more understanding than they would have been a long time ago.
That is true.
Because they're like, oh, that's just their culture.
Yeah, I think it was just kind of like a more phased out thing than something that was just completely outlawed altogether, for sure.
Well, you went to Japan. I want to go to Japan.
We're staying right here then. Let's go.
So in 1948, there was a law called I'm gonna butcher it. I need to go ahead and apologize for my butchery of this word. It was called the Fueiho Law. The law that I found also wasn't the direct law, but it like kind of correlates.
Okay.
It was illegal to dance in public without a permit. And I was like, excuse me? What do you mean? Is this the town of Footloose? This law was mainly created in 1948 after the World War II to regulate nightlife. It never explicitly said dancing is illegal. However, it regulated the operation hours of amusement businesses. Not only the operation hours, like the lighting in those businesses. The dance floors had to be smaller. Like, it was all kinds of weird stuff in that law. And it was very overwhelming because I, like, went to the legislative site that had this law in it.
Mm-hmm.
I was very overwhelmed. There was a lot of stuff in that law. But they regulated the hours where they could not operate. They could not be open between midnight and 6 a.m. They were trying to prevent sex work in these dance halls, which wasn't illegal at this time because they did have brothels.
Mm-hmm.
And I believe they were licensed businesses. I think that's what if I read that correctly, you know?
Okay.
They also wanted to cut down on crime that was related to these hours. They were like, oh, this lifestyle is creating more crime. We get rid of the lifestyle, we get rid of the crime.
Okay.
They also were trying to uphold Japanese traditions and values. So they saw it as immoral for men and women to be commingling in those hours, I guess.
I mean,
and
okay. Teach their own, really.
I believe, do what you want. As long as you're not hurting anybody, as long as it's consensual, who cares?
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, so it wasn't really enforced that much until 2010. Then they started cracking down on it, and they were like, nah, nightlife, get out. So it actually started a movement called the Let's Dance movement in 2012. And it was a nationwide protest. It got a ton of attention. Really famous artists, like musical artists, were actually promoting this. And like, they started a petition and they got over 150,000 signatures on it.
Wow.
Mm-hmm. And that was from like 2013 to like within 2013 is when this petition happened.
Mm-hmm.
So obviously the police and the government were trying to like push back a little bit. They were like, we don't want to do this. So it took a long time. And then in 2015, they finally passed a change in the law that allowed the operating hours to change back to being able to open 24 hours if they wanted to.
Yeah.
But it wasn't enacted until 2016. And they did have some caveats. So anyone who wanted to stay open 24 hours needed a new license saying that they could do so, which is like fair, I guess. Because like you need business licenses to do stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Anyone under 18 was banned from these clubs after 10 p.m., which fair. Like, they want to keep minors out of the crazy stuff. The seating area had to be lit within a certain lighting wattage.
Okay.
And, like, so there couldn't be any nefarious activities on those seats.
Oh, there was still nefarious activities.
Oh, for sure.
They just didn't care about the lighting.
Right. Also, oh, wait. I think I got it mixed up before. So they made the dance floors bigger, so I guess they wouldn't be as squished in together. But now the dance floors could be smaller. So And that
Gotcha.
is that law. So, like, it wasn't illegal to dance in Japan, but it started the movement, Let's Dance, to, like, protest against this law.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, we're going to stay in Asia, not
Okay.
Japan. We're in Asia. In Southeast Asia, there was a law that is still, well, like, it was like more of a social law. It's not like a governmental law, even though it kind of was also at the same time. But it was a lot of just like, you don't do that, like we talked about earlier. So it's still kind of prevalent today. I'm all for it, really. But in Southeast Asia, historically, the head of a person is seen as the most sacred part of the body.
Okay.
Okay. This is like I think it was Buddhist and Animist. I believe that's what I read. It's a view that aligns with those religions more.
What was the second one?
Animist.
I don't know what that is.
Animist is the belief that the world is alive with spirit. So plants, animals, rivers, rocks, weather, objects are believed to have souls, spirits, or consciousness. And humans aren't really above that. Okay? So the head is so sacred because the head is where the soul is housed. The soul is wisdom. The soul aligns and connects to, the earth or to people or to your religion or whatever. So socially, you are not allowed to place your head physically higher than elders or superiors when sitting or standing in close proximity.
That's wild. And did you say what countries this was in, or was it just like all of Southeast Asia?
It's mostly with like the religions. So Southeast Asia, where Buddhism and animism was most prominent. So when I thought about this, I was like, well, the first ones that would be screwed are like my brothers, because like my oldest brother is 6'7". Imagine if he had to like lower his head lower than like an elder. Just out of respect, like he would have severe back problems.
Yeah.
But on top of that, so you're not allowed to lift your head, higher or lower, higher than your elders. The other one is you are not allowed to touch said head without permission, or else
I like that. Don't touch my head.
I know.
Don't touch my head.
Just like, I'm kind of here for it. Like, if you touch someone's head without permission, you got, okay? You got
Fair.
what's coming to you.
Just don't touch me.
Exactly. So, this was especially with children. So, a perfect example, as you know, my child has big old curly ringlets, okay? His hair. So strangers, and they're usually like elderly women, they will just help themselves to come up and just be like, oh, that is the most beautiful hair, and just start touching my child's hair without permission.
Why?
I don't know. But
I know you don't know, but like, okay, if you're watching this and you are one of those people, why?
Why do you do that?
Yeah,
why
like
do you do
what?
that?
Like, why do you feel like entitled to touch someone without permission? Like,
why?
I'm not judging you. I genuinely want to know.
Very curious.
I mean, I'm judging you a little bit.
I would never touch someone else's child without permission, no matter how beautiful. Like, what if they have the prettiest little outfit? I'm not going to go touch like the rim of their t-shirt and just be like, oh, that's so cute.
That's so weird.
You don't touch. Yeah, you don't touch other. Yeah, don't touch people. But what this means is if I was in Southeast Asia and someone touches my child, one, if they're an elder, I have to go under, but then that just means I can give them 1-2 uppercut at the same time.
Yeah. Bop, bop.
It's just like, sorry, you're my elder, but like, bop, bop, like get off my child. So, and I would be completely okay with it. It's like, well, my head was lower. My head was lower but she touched my child's hair without permission. So, don't touch people's head.
Right.
Don't touch
like
people.
without permission, don't do it.
Don't-
Also, I'm like
don't
really
think that you're
sensitive.
entitled.
Right. I'm really sensitive to like strangers touching me. Like I like
Mhm.
get triggered. So just
Mhm.
don't. Just don't. Anyway.
It's the right thing to do. Don't do it, guys. It's the right thing to do.
Mm-hmm. Speaking of touching people. That didn't happen in my next law. But intimidation did.
Oh, God. Okay.
So my next
my
law
God.
is still enacted till this day. Okay?
Okay.
And this is actually a law that is enforced. And
okay.
like after you hear everything, you'll kind of be like, okay, I kind of get it. So,
Okay. I'm ready.
Bearing of Armor Act 1313. So, we're in medieval. And the original text is in legal medieval French, which I was like, are we sure this is real? Because, like, why would it be in French? Apparently, they didn't write laws in English because it was seen as a commoner's language. Crazy. So, pretentious as hell. Anyway, so it was... Right. Exactly. It was illegal to wear armor in Parliament in the United Kingdom. You're like, okay, why would anybody be wearing armor to Parliament?
Why is that a thing?
Let
What
me tell
happened?
you. Let
Okay.
me tell you. Okay. So here's the official translation before I get into the story.
Okay.
From the Royal Letters, Patent of King Edward II, year 7. So it's like his 7th year, and it's item 14.
okay.
Like it's not like year 7 ever, but it's year 7 of him ruling.
Okay.
Yeah. The king commands that earls, barons, knights, and members of the community of the realms who are summoned to Parliament must come peacefully without force or weapons. No one shall come armed, nor bearing force, nor attempt to intimidate others during the assembly. Fair? But
That's fair.
why was...
Yeah, I'm still curious.
Like, why... like, why did that need to be law? You know what I mean?
Right.
Well, let me tell you. So, this law went into effect the 30th of October in 1313. Apparently, in the 14th century, earls in this time period chose chaos. They always chose chaos. So, specifically, there were 3 earls in this time period that I don't know what they were thinking or why they thought this would work, but they would show up fully armored, head to toe, in their, like, battle armor and their swords, and they would just come and sit. And, like, they would say intimidating things to each other and to the king. And, like, the king was like, sick of this shit. So that's why he put it in place. So the 3 people that I'm talking about was Thomas of Lancaster, the 2nd Earl of Lancaster, Guy de Beauchamp, the 10th Earl of Warwick, and Humphrey de Bohun, the 4th Earl of Herworth. They just all kind of wanted to be the top dog. They all wanted to be like, I'm the shit. And so they would just go around intimidating everybody. Medieval men, am I right?
That's the way to do it.
And like
That's
I
the way
said,
to do it.
right, he just had to be fed up with it because he's like, I'm sick of this shit. And I think he thought there might be a possible coup because people were coming into the Parliament with weapons, you know?
Oh, yeah. True.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So, and he was also, it seemed like he was also afraid for the safety of other Parliament members who were just like, can we just get this done? You know?
That makes sense.
Yeah. So
They're like
that's
looking over their shoulder instead of looking at Parliament. They're just
right. And like they could be like pulled out their swords, stick it on the ground next to them. How are you gonna vote? How are you gonna vote? I'm gonna vote this way. How are you gonna vote? You know?
or you would be smart too.
Right. So that being said, it is still a law till this day. But obviously, like, nobody's wearing armor.
I was about to say in the
Anymore, right.
law, a
But,
large
like-
part of the law are not in like
Right.
uniform. They're in suits.
Right.
You
Well,
know?
I think that they keep it in law and they haven't changed it because it specifically says no one shall come armed. So that's any weapon. Nor bring force, nor attempt to intimidate others. I think that is why they're keeping it.
That makes a lot of sense because that universally would keep corruption not out of the courtroom per se because, you know, whatever,
Mm-hmm.
but it prevents like the violence when there's like really
Right.
sensitive subjects, you know, on the
Right.
line. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. For sure.
Yeah.
You got one more?
I have no caveat.
Oh my gosh, I'm so excited.
I'm just gonna get into it. I don't know.
Please do.
So
Please.
before fire extinguishers were a
Okay.
thing,
Oh no.
it was mandatory to have a fire bucket in your home. Okay?
That's fair.
Not too crazy. Not too crazy, right?
Not crazy.
In 17th century Europe, you legally had to have a bucket in your home just for fires.
Okay.
But not just any bucket. A special bucket.
Okay.
The most special
Okay.
bucket.
I need to know what kind of bucket this is.
These special buckets had a leather lining. There had to be one bucket per male in a home or business or whatever else, and all buckets had to be marked with the owner's name and address. They would conduct unannounced inspections to see if your most special bucket is visible and ready to be used, and hasn't been used to store trash, feed livestock, or like used for cleaning, which who cares? But I digress. So it's not like you're using it to clean your body, like you're literally using it for water in a. But anyways,
Well, I guess if you're like cleaning and you're using, I don't know if they had like chemicals that they used to clean back then, but if there's a chemical or something that you're using to clean, could be flammable.
yeah, and
So I
like
guess I
maybe
gotta get
it
it.
was for like wear and tear, but at the same time, it's not good for leather to just sit there as well.
It's a
And
leather bucket.
It's a leather lined bucket. Yes.
That's crazy.
So it's just kind of like, okay, you know, leather does good with oils. So are you shining your bucket from time to time? Like, how do you keep your bucket to be a pristine bucket? How do you keep
Right.
the special bucket being the most special bucket? Okay. So, but that it had to be in a place that was ready to grab and use in case of a fire. So if a fire rang out, men had to line up. This is why it's so important that the bucket's ready to be used, okay? They would line up from the source of the water to the fire, and this is called a bucket brigade, okay?
Mhm.
And they would pass the buckets of water, obviously, to the fire to put that out. And everywhere I read, it said that this only worked, the bucket brigade only worked if everybody had their most special bucket. If you had
Most
no
special.
bucket, you weren't just lazy, but you were endangering the entire city.
Do you have
So-
your most special bucket?
Do you have your bucket? Not any bucket, the most special bucket. Okay.
Do you have your most special bucket?
But the consequences, they could be fined, publicly reprimanded, or even go to jail.
That's crazy. You don't have
Yeah.
a bucket? Go to prison.
And like the unannounced, well, first of all, you had to buy the
Mhm.
special bucket. You weren't given the special bucket. You had to buy your own, and leather is not cheap.
Right.
So, like, the most expensive thing you could put your money towards was
This
a bucket. The leather
Okay,
bucket.
question. At what age did you get your bucket? Because, like, I'm thinking about, like, boys. Like, at what age were they men?
Legal adulthood was about 21, expected to work between the ages of 14 and 16. Military and labor and adulthood is about 15 to 18, so we're going to go with that one.
Like 15?
Because I feel like that goes
You get your
hand in
bucket at
hand.
15.
You could possibly get your bucket at 15 to 18 years old whenever they decide to throw you into their military.
Mm-hmm.
Unfortunately. So you can work really hard to earn your very special bucket and pay for it. And also pay for it
bucket.
to get your name on it.
Mm-hmm.
The most special. And if you don't have it,
can you not put your own name on it? You have to, like, get somebody to put your name on it?
I don't know. I don't know what the regulations were. If there are unannounced people that come in to, like, inspect your bucket, you know, I'm sure that you had to have, like, very specific
Okay, but, like,
fonts.
what if, okay, your name's John Smith. Your neighbor's name's John Smith. You both have John Smith on your bucket. How do you know which bucket's your bucket?
Well, you could do the house by the smelly trash, John Johnson.
The house by
the house of
smelly house,
smell.
John. I have a smelly house, John.
Cattle John. Boot shiner John.
Cobbler John.
Cobbler John.
Farmer John.
Exactly. There are ways to do it.
John.
Blacksmith John. But let me tell you something about these buckets, okay? They would have court cases over this bucket. So John stole my bucket, but my name's John. This is my bucket, but my bucket had this nick. We fought the same fire together. Mine also had that nick. So there would be court cases over these stolen buckets. I don't know.
My bucket had this nick.
My bucket. Maybe because it seems kind of stupid. I don't know.
You said it, not me.
I mean, I live here, so. But anyways, so people would also decorate their buckets. So they would make their most special bucket the prettiest, most special bucket. So if somebody stole that bucket, you'd be like, she can't paint flower crowns. I can paint flower crowns.
But I want flowers on my bucket.
Speaking of young adults too, they would give their buckets as like a rite of passage. Son, you have grown into a brave man.
When do you give up your bucket?
I guess just when it's time, or when that arthritis has just really gotten to you.
You can't walk anymore.
You can't do the bucket brigade anymore.
When your legs don't work like they used to before.
But yeah, they were given as a rite of passage or a precious family heirloom. They would literally pass it generation by generation by generation by generation.
Would have to. It's expensive.
It's the most special bucket. I think now it's just there's no real significance other than it was great granddad's of the 17th century, you know.
How many names are on that bucket? Do you take the name off of the bucket to put your name on the bucket, or
that's
you all have the same name and you just put another number?
That actually is very common in France. Just having the same name over and over and over and over and over and over and over.
Medieval France, sure.
Yeah. So, yeah. Also, one more fact about special buckets is that the rich had dozens of buckets.
But they're like,
nothing will ever happen to us. We have plenty of buckets for all of our help and other folk to come and put fire out because we have plenty buckets. Plenty very special buckets. And all of them have their names on it. And I bet none of them had flower crowns.
None of them. Mm-mm. None of them. Not even one.
Not even one.
Crazy.
But yeah, those are all my rules and my laws and my socials and all that kind of stuff. I'm ready. I don't know if I'm ready for real. I don't know if I'm ready for it. Let's
I
be
think
so
you'll be
real.
ready for my last one.
Okay.
You've probably heard this one before, and it is a myth. It's not actually a law, and it never was a law, but I want to tell the story anyway. It was illegal to name a pig Napoleon. Again, this is a myth, but what do you think about that? What do you think
Does it have to do? Does it Napoleon?
Which one?
The really short one.
Correct. So, they believed that this law stemmed from the lèse-majesté laws, which translates to injured majesty or to do wrong to the majesty.
Okay.
So, it never specifically said you can't name a pig Napoleon. But I'm going to tell you the laws that people will usually believe and reference from, and then how this law actually came about.
Okay.
These laws were originally in France, and, well, they were originally from different parts of the world. I think it started in Rome, and then it kind of spread throughout. But it seemed to be very prevalent in France around the 13th century. So we're in Middle Ages again. And these laws were basically being like, you can't say anything to upset the king. You can't be rude. You can't trash talk, blah, 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 because he didn't want his feelings to get hurt. Oh, his feelings are hurt. You can't say it. Behead him.
Oh, he's a little corgi.
Oh, he's so quaky. Anyway, sorry.
He's a quinky little baby.
In the 13th century, Napoleon wasn't the king yet. I'm going to give you some backstory of how he became. He wasn't a king. He called himself an emperor. It's crazy. It's a crazy story. I'm going to give you the briefest of brief stories. Be proud of me. It's believed to have started before or in the 13th century. So 1200s. Eventually, we're in the 1700s now, late 1700s. The French Revolution happens.
The French Revolution.
These laws ended up getting thrown out, as well as King Louis XVI. 16 Louis is a lot of Louis. That's a lot of Louis.
Get out of here.
Who tried to flee France, but he was caught and executed in 1793. Okay, so now there's no king. What do we do? After the execution, France became a republic. There was no monarchy, and France started to be led by the National Convention, which the country goes into pure chaos. This is probably one of the most chaotic times and period that I have ever read. And if you want me to tell that story, I will. But you are going to have to buckle up. It might be a 3-part series because it's crazy. Anyway, after the king is executed, the National Convention starts to rule the country. This is an extremely long story, very, very short. There was a man who tried ruling to be the top of the National Convention. He was a tyrant. He was just as bad, if not worse, than the king. So he was executed. Then they were like, okay, well, having a king didn't work. Having one guy leading everything didn't work. So let's try something different. Let's have 5 men rule the country. That way they can all vote on stuff and it can become almost a democracy, but just with these 5 guys. They ended up calling it the French Directory, and that should go so much better, right? In theory, yes. But it didn't, because they didn't know what they were doing. They were also they were extremely corrupt. And they were just trying to, do what's best for them and no one else. In the midst of the chaos, guess who walks on in and sees an opportunity?
Oh, Napoleon.
Napoleon Bonaparte. If you don't know who he is, Napoleon Bonaparte was a French emperor who was known for being extremely smart with military and warfare. He was very tactical, and he was very short. And he had an ego and got his feelings hurt pretty easily from what I know about him. And that's just like generalized.
From what I know about him as well.
Right.
Had a little
So
temper.
he stages a coup, and bam, he's the emperor. Being the very short, deeply insecure man that we all know, he re-implements the laws where you can't say anything bad about the ruler.
He was no better.
He's no better. No better.
Mm-hmm.
Side note, he also was 5'6", which is my height. And I did some research. Pretty sure the average height for men in France in this time period was 5'4" to 5'8". So he wasn't even that short. He was average height. Anyway. But I think probably people just latched onto that because he had a temper and they were like, oh, he's just mad that he's short. Anyway, so he took over for 9 years. Then the previous royal family was like, no, taking it back. So power struggle, they take it back. And then Napoleon's like, no, I'm taking it back. So he ends up ruling for another 94 days. And then the previous royal family takes it back again. Now, we still don't have the Napoleon pig law myth. So where does that come from? Well, we got to fast forward to 1945.
Okay.
130 years later. We've talked about George Orwell before. I did a whole hoax episode. He's an author. He's a really good writer. He writes some crazy stuff, like Animal Farm. We've all heard of it. Well, most of us. If you don't know what it is, it's basically a book about politics, kind of. But it's like, instead of people, it is animals and like the power struggle of like ruling the farm. It's pretty, it's a really good book. I would recommend it if you're into that kind of stuff. In this book, there is a pig who resembles a dictator, and how he tried to seize power. Sounds familiar, right? Well, he named that pig Napoleon. And when the book started to be published, it was just in the UK at first, but within a few months, it started to be sold other places. Then translations came about. So this, I couldn't find exactly, like, I know it was talked about, but I couldn't find if it actually happened. But it definitely was in talks. So George Orwell's publisher was like, hey, we're going to translate it to French. However, it might not be good for French readers because they might feel attacked because we named him Napoleon. So let's change the name. And allegedly, the name was changed to Caesar in like the first like edition of the French translation. Now, I couldn't find, like, I tried to look for proof. I couldn't find proof that the name had been changed because later editions, it goes back to Napoleon if it had been changed. Or maybe they just talked about it. And because this was in talks or even possibly happened, obviously people are going to look at that and be like, you changed the name. Why'd you do that? Well, because he changed the name or it was in talks, people were like, oh, he can't name the pig Napoleon because that's disrespectful to the emperor. And like, that was a law. You couldn't disrespect the emperor. So it's illegal to name pigs Napoleon. So it became an urban myth. So that's kind of the story behind that. And that being said, kids, do your own research. Don't just trust everything anybody says, especially us. Like, if you're listening to this and you're like, I didn't know that. And like, you're just blindly trusting us. Just like, do a little research. Yeah, don't.
I know.
Because we can easily be wrong. We could easily have found misinformation. Or we could easily have found conflicting information that doesn't mesh. I don't know.
Well, like, even in our intro, we're just like, tidbits of knowledge. We're not full-on knowledge. We're just
Right.
a tidbit.
Just a tidbit.
Please look into it yourself.
Yes. I agree.
But yeah,
Well-
that's funny.
well-
It's like, you don't want this guy coming after you, or his cohorts or his people coming after you because you've offended a whole country.
Right. Well, he had been long dead by that
Well,
point.
he was gone. Yeah, that's what I
Yeah.
meant. I was like,
And
or...
like, from what I know, maybe I'm wrong. If you are from France or you know people from France,
Mhm.
I don't think that they ever supported Napoleon, like, fully. You know, because he was kind of known as a dictator. He was kind of known as a tyrant. So, like, that's why if it did change, they changed it back. Because they were like, they don't like him anyway.
Right.
So
Precisely.
I think that's why. Do your own research.
Please do your own research. Keyword, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Not I know.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But I hope you guys enjoyed this fun little episode, and I hope...
Yeah, it's been a little bit of a minute since we've done a little, like, spitfire, like, back and
Hee-hee-ha-ha.
forth story episode. So we hope that you
Right.
guys enjoyed it. We've had a lot of
Mhm.
part 1, part 2, or part 3.
Yeah.
Well, we've only had one part 3, but, like, yeah, we've had a lot of different parts, and we haven't had just an episode for us to just both kind of take some turns. So we really
Yeah.
hope you guys enjoyed. And if you like
Yeah.
this video and want to see us do more of them, and even have some topics that you think would be cool for a layout like this video, let us know in the comments below.
Exactly. Also, comment, what was your favorite law that you heard today, or your least favorite law? Like, what was the funniest? What was the, I can't believe that was a law, or is a law
I
still?
think my first one was the best one. I'm so
I
sorry.
think it was
I'm
too.
so biased.
No, I agree. The pig in the human clothes being hung, that's wild.
That's wild. Caterpillars and leeches being on trial. Insanity.
Crazy.
Insanity.
Anyway, I want all of you to drink your water and take care of yourself. Right now in the world, it is a rough time for majority of us. I know that I am affected very deeply by things happening right now, and I'm having a really tough time. So we're going to try to keep bringing you fun topics, or topics that interest you, and hopefully we can bring some type of happiness to your day, like pigs wearing clothes while being hung.
Healthy distractions, am I right? Healthy
Do
distractions.
you have your most special bucket?
Do you have... Oh my gosh, if somebody still has their family's most special bucket, please
There's
send
no
a photo.
way. Please send a photo, but
Please.
I also don't believe you. Anyway.
Anyways.
Goodbye.
I was gonna do that too. I was gonna go goodbye.
Goodbye.
Okay, I can't run. So
That was a bad run. But I hope you guys have a magical weekend and a magical week and a magical life.
And we will see you guys next week.